7 p.m., Brainerd Council Chambers. We've got 3 items on our agenda. First of which being to discuss service line reimbursement request for 601 South 9th Street. And Engineer Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a follow-up from the last 2 meetings. Staff met with the owner and the contractor, received the proposed breakdown of the costs as council requested. Staff did review those. In the proposal, the listing attributed to the main was $1,850. Reviewing the breakout, staff doesn't view the video camera, the City of Brainerd permit cost, or the 8x4Y costs as attributed to the main. So staff would adjust that dollar amount down to $1,400. So staff has gotten a breakdown for the council to consider there. The other piece would be if council wants to revise the general practice for the city, we would want good clarity from the council, because that would have some budgetary impacts as well. So to be able to budget accordingly, if there's to be a change in general practice. As of right now, because of the general nature of the service line replacements being a property owner cost, just in general, staff's recommendation is that the property owner is responsible for all the costs of the service line replacement.
All right, thank you very much. And bring it back to the committee here. Any questions or comments for staff? Otherwise, I had a, yeah, go ahead. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna, just a quick question. When I'm not making any accusations or anything, but whenever I see a breakdown of costs and I see like Fernco's and Y's and parts and pieces, they're always rounded to an even number. And just as a dumb question, are they rounded up? Are they rounded down? Is there labor mixed into them? How do we just go and buy a Fernco and it just magically comes out to $150? Does anyone know?
My assumption is that is an estimate based on the cost and the estimate of labor, because it's just tracking the labor to install the 2 Ferncos down to the minute would be pretty difficult. So my assumption is that is an estimate of the labor that went into it.
This is labor only.
And the cost of materials.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Just that's okay.
Tell you where it came from. Exactly.
Perhaps,
You
yeah,
want to
perhaps.
know right from the horse's mouth.
Sure.
Okay. So
Got to come up to the mic.
You want to maybe restate the question?
Well, the question is how parts and labor always comes out to an even number. Maybe it just. And I'm not accusing anything, Dave.
No, that's fine.
Just
Yep.
how you did it. Yeah.
Yep. So basically, the parts for the whole repair were $350.
Yep.
And the Ferncos came about from the staff, Jesse's staff, telling me this is what you need to hook onto the existing main. So it's the 2 Ferncos, and they're like $32 something a piece. And then I threw an hour of jumping in after them and go get them, and that's where they get to be $150.
Yeah, you just basically rounded everything
I charged
together.
$50. I figured $100, and
Okay.
so
That's all.
that's all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so my comment, I guess, was, whatever we decide to do as far as making a recommendation to council on this, I guess my thought is that our motion, our recommendation, I'd like to see it be specific to this issue and not as far as the general policy. I think we should separate the two. Jesse, kind of as Jesse kind of alluded to, there's some budgetary ramifications. I'd like to see our recommendation be specific to this issue, and then we handle a broader policy change afterwards at a different time. That way it's not, we're not being reactionary to a specific instance. And I think we can let this situation inform that larger discussion. So just my personal preference, personal opinion, I think we should separate those two and just handle this specifically on its face value.
May I?
Oh, yes, didn't see your hand up. Please.
No problem. So I did have a conversation with Mr. Dean, and I'm just going to kind of follow up with you, if you don't mind. When this type of service line is repaired, replaced, if the main were in perfect shape, it was no more than 5 years old, would the homeowner's contractor have to replace a portion of that main, as far as you know, and regardless of the shape of the condition of that main?
Yes, it's highly likely they would have to replace a small segment of the main.
A small segment.
Yep.
And in this instance, there was a small segment replaced, right?
Yeah, define small, yeah. They replaced roughly eight-ish feet of main. Yep.
So if the main was in perfect shape, just relatively new, they would maybe have to replace less than 8 feet, perhaps.
Give or take, yeah.
Okay. That's what I needed to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. You know, and I see that staff has a recommendation that is consistent with their previous recommendation of, you know, not reimbursing. And I think, you know, in the conversation I had with Jesse, I think that's entirely appropriate for staff. You know, the current policy is what it is. And so I think it's consistent and appropriate for staff to have that recommendation. And I think as a committee, we can maybe entertain, you know, we obviously don't have to take that recommendation. We can use this additional information of these breakdowns to, you know, recommend whatever we want. So, you know, and I guess I'm leaning towards, I do like the staff adjusted amount of the 1,400. I'd be comfortable with that. I think there is a portion of Maine that was replaced, and typically that's on the city side, and, you know, in this instance, I think that's appropriate, so.
Mr. Chair,
Any comments or questions, or even a motion?
may I?
Yes, please.
What I asked that question for is, our engineer told us in virtually every situation like this, no matter, regardless of the quality of the main, there's always a portion of main replaced. That being said, that's essentially new information for me. I don't think I was ever given that that answer. I was leaning towards, if the main is in such bad shape that they had to replace it, that's where my initial thoughts were going on this. The main's in terrible shape, they had to replace a portion of it in order to connect the Y. Now that he's telling us that it really doesn't matter what condition the main is in, they're gonna have to replace a portion of it anyway. I would have to lean towards staff's recommendation on this one. As much as I've looked at this and thought initially it wasn't fair for the property owner to have to pay a portion of that main, but if virtually every instance there is a replacement of that main, and that's what our policy has been, I'm looking at following staff's recommendation. Unless somebody wants to make a motion otherwise, I guess.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Otherwise, be looking for a motion one way or the other. I guess, you know, yeah, as you said, that is essentially new information. You know, I wasn't entirely sure if, you know.
I'll move that we follow staff's recommendation and not reimburse.
All right, I'll second that for sake of discussion. Is there any motion and a second, any additional discussion?
So I wonder if you can listen to something from the audience?
I
Discussion?
I don't know that we can. There's been a motion and a second. Brought it back for any additional discussion.
I'm shocked, frankly, at this comment that Jesse made. Where is that data coming from? That the homeowner would pay for.
Mr. Chair, if you're gonna allow him to speak, he needs to be at the microphone.
Yeah, like I said, there's been a motion and a second. We're really not able to entertain discussion at this point. I'll bring it to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carried. Next steps, this is a recommendation. It'll go to council at 7:30. Next items is an update on Trunk Highway 210 Lum Park pedestrian bridge, and City Engineer Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a follow-up from the October 6th meeting. Council asked for some additional information in regards to the Highway 210 grant and the bridge project. So staff included a handful of information. A couple of things I'll just quick highlight. One, there wasn't a very specific deadline or formal deadline. Staff was pretty firmly informed by MnDOT staff that we needed to make a decision on whether or not we were going to utilize the grant or turn that back to MnDOT so they could potentially try and find another sort or another use for those funds. So that's what staff was asking for on the October 6th direction from the council, how they would want to do that. Also that we have to be ready to deliver that project by the end of fiscal 2026. Because it's federal funding, it's a very big lift for staff to be able to turn that around in such a short time frame. Because most federal jobs, it's a 3 to 4 year project development process. So it would have been a very heavy lift, and we would have been hard pressed with working with our consultant to make that delivery time frame. So that's why that, so to say, deadline was at the October 6th meeting. With that said. Staff did find out that MnDOT was able to find a candidate to swap the funds out for another additional year. Todd County had a project as well as Crow Wing County to move that to fiscal year 2027. Staff was not told that this was likely even an option, but did find out after the October 6th meeting that they found those candidates. However, just to note, it is not 100% approved by the ATP 3 yet, so there's no guarantee that those funds would be swapped, but just informal understanding, I guess, at this point with the funding swap. Really, staff is still looking for direction from the council on how to prioritize that bridge project. So as we see grant solicitations come through, do we still target this as our top priority, or do we look at other potential projects? We have the Cane Lake State Trail East segment that we need to construct yet, or some other different trail projects or other applicable projects for those types of grants, or does the 210 Lone Park pedestrian bridge remain at the top priority and continue to spend our resources that direction with those grant applications? Also, and maybe it's kind of inferred, but if the ATP3 does not approve the funding swaps, a lot of the comments were from the council last meeting on October 6th where the intention would be to turn those funds back. As at this point, we probably don't even have the time to execute a project in the time frame if they don't approve the swap. I don't know if we would even be able to feasibly utilize the funds. So just looking for some direction from the council either way.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dean. Councilman Chesak?
Are you abstaining on this one?
No, I feel like I got some information I can share that's, a good way in. And I think, it doesn't personally benefit me
Right.
one way or the other. And I'm a MnDOT employee, but.
That's fine. I was just, fine with me. I was just, so when you said we have to, if I may?
Yes, please.
Mr. Dean, when you said by the end of 2026, we have to, what was the term you used? We have to have what done by the end of 2026 if we are going to use this 1.3 million?
We essentially have to be able to be ready to deliver the project.
When you say deliver, we've accepted this grant, correct? And that being said, if we don't turn it back, we're responsible for that local share. And if we can't deliver it, with all the other costs, that'll be on us unless we get other funding, right?
So if we can't deliver by the deadline,
Right.
the funds actually go back to the feds. And I've been told that MnDOT would be incredibly disheartened to see that happen because that causes a big problem for the state in general.
Okay.
So they really don't want to see the funds get moved back to the feds. They'd rather see that get used within the state instead of turning it back.
But the way to deliver the project that we sit here tonight, unless we want to ask our taxpayers to pay for a vast majority of this, we have to find other means of over $4 million essentially along with this 1.3 we have, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. that's where I'm leaning to staff's recommendation. I think it is, or direction, give them direction to return it now. So we're not essentially mixing up their plans, what they do with this money, and throwing chaos into their program, I guess would be maybe putting words in Mr. Dean's mouth.
Thank you, Councilman Chesney. Jesse, you had your hand up?
Can I just get further clarification? Is the motion in the event that they cannot swap funds in 2027?
You say that again?
Is essentially the motion, if there is a motion, if in the event they cannot swap the funds to fiscal year 2027 to turn the funds back, or would we continue to hold on to it if they can?
Yeah,
So
so
just
there's
clarify.
basically two scenarios here. One, because as it stands now, MnDOT staff has found a way to make it work, has talked to other communities to swap funds within years. They have to get approval from the ATP in order to do that. So there's basically two scenarios here. One, they either don't get that approval from ATP or they do. And so I guess your comment there, Jeff.
It's not accurate. What I just said is not.
Well, no, so the motion that council took whenever we did that, a couple meetings ago,
Yep.
was to retain the funds. So nothing's changed other than MnDOT staff has found a way to make that work for us within an additional year extension.
Okay.
Is that most likely, yeah, with potential ATP approval? So, Councilman Yeager. So
I'm
then that
surprised-
puts us at, sorry.
Nope.
That puts us at risk if we continue to move forward and we, can't deliver on the project, that we have these funds, we have to deliver it. So, sorry, go ahead.
I'm still reading what I believe to be as a time frame gap. If we're saying that a typical time frame for these projects is 3 to 4 years, this is only buying us another year, and we still have absolutely no starting point at this point. So I'm not sure that the year does anything other than just make it even worse for us to giving the money back an additional year from now. So from my position here is, and I want to be respectful of the city council and the mayor, and I believe that we can have this still as a priority. To me, this money does not necessarily mean if we give the money back that still isn't a priority for us. It just means that at this time we're not able to execute fully the process to get from where we are now all the way through the project. So I guess where I'm at is my position is the same as it was last time this came up 2 weeks ago. So that's where I'm at.
All right, thank you very much. Any additional comments, questions?
If I could,
Yes, please.
just so I get this clear, to Mr. Yeager's point, if we say, we'll just hang on to it, and if we got bonding, and we had enough bonding along with this to cover it, it's like bingo, we could deliver on it by the end of next year, right?
The end of next year would be a challenge. Probably the deadline of fiscal 2027, if we have that deadline, is a little bit more doable. It's still going to be a pretty heavy lift still.
And that 2027 is contingent on this, what is it called, the
Area Transportation Partnership, ATP.
ATP allowing us to do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the risk, okay. I don't like these risks.
All right, it sounds like everyone's got a pretty clear understanding of the situation and the timelines. Anyone want to take a stab at a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to take the same position that we had the last time that this came up, and that is for us to return the funds.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Motion to return the funds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you. Our third item, approve MnDOT grant application for Cuyuna Lakes State Trail East Segment, and Engineer Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So kind of a little bit of a follow-up to that last item. So the DNR has a regional trail grant program. Staff is potentially pitching to the council if you want to apply for that program, the Cuyuna Lake State Trail East segment, which would be essentially where we ended the Northern Pacific Center segment. at the eastern edge of that property, and then continue east to connect to the 28th Street trail. We do have a 60% plan estimate. We're roughly at about 1.8 million. The maximum grant amount is 300,000, so that would still put us on the hook for the remaining 1.5. So staff is just looking, if the council wants to apply for this grant towards that project, just recommending the authorization.
All right, thank you very much.
Is there a local match?
Yes, it's a 75-25, but our 1.5 million in is going to cover that.
Did I answer your question? All right, any questions, comments?
Yep, I'll just make a comment here. This, my feeling on this is, this is the exact same scenario that played out with the conversation before. So, I fully support having an appetite to expand, to improve, to connect, to all of those types of things. What I do not support, which I see over and over and over again, is a myopic decision to chase a grant with absolutely no plan on how to bring the project to full fruition. So I just am not a fan of spending staff time, effort, and everything that goes into applying for grants when we really have no well thought out plan on how to get it all the way across the finish line. So we have an opportunity here to not repeat what we did with the pedestrian bridge that just came before us here. So my basic opinion is on this, while I think that the trail is important and I'd love to see it happen, I even pitched it, took time out of my day to pitch this, believe that it's important. I just don't think that chasing a grant that only is covering a small portion of this and asking for something miraculous to happen to cover the rest is a way to attack something you want to do. So that's where I'm at.
I have another question, if I could.
Yes, please.
Is there, if we did proceed with asking for this or trying to get this grant of 300,000, what's the time frame we have to use it?
It's the 2-year budget biennium for the state, so pretty much within 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And is there, the trail has to go over the railroad bridge? Is that correct? The highway over the railroad?
No, this segment would go through the wetland that's east of the Northern Pacific Center.
Oh,
Connect then to 28th Street where there's an existing trail. And then that trail ultimately goes over, but that's already in place.
okay. I see. Got it.
So
Thanks.
yeah, this just gets from the NP Center to 28th Street.
But just on one more note, I agree with Mr. Yeager entirely.
Okay, very good.
So,
I did have one quick question. I saw a contingency of 30% on this. That strikes me as a little high or a little bit of an anomaly on some of these that I've seen for pre-construction estimates. Any thought on that, Mr. Dean, of where that number came from, why it's such a, maybe this isn't, maybe it's actually the right number. I'm not used to seeing a 30% contingency.
It is up there. However, it is a 60% plan estimate. That's probably why they have such a high contingency in it.
Okay.
Just because of the high variability, especially from a budgetary standpoint, you don't want to budget too low.
Right.
So as the plans would develop, that number would get refined and that contingency would come down.
Yeah, and that my thought was, it seems like a fairly simple project. We're just plowing through some wetlands, so it seems like there wouldn't be a lot of contingency, but, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. All right, and I tend to agree. If we get these grants and we're unable to find the additional funds, we're on the hook to deliver these projects. It's quite the risk, so I would be in agreement. But is there a motion to the effect of, is there entertaining a motion?
I'll make a motion to direct staff to not apply for the Minnesota DNR grant for the Cayuna Lakes Trail at this time, East Segment project.
I don't think we need a motion, but I'll second it anyway. That's okay.
All right, thank you. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Direction, I guess.
All right, that brings us to the end of the meeting. We're adjourned.
Cease and desist.